New Month family, welcome back to Leaders of Africa and welcome to this 18th episode of this week. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by. We are thrilled to have you. I hope you consider staying forever by joining us at leadersofafrica.org/live or hitting that red subscribe button down below to become a part of the family. And trust me, you'll be glad you did. So you do not miss out and get notified immediately we drop new content, hit that bell notification button. If you like what you hear and think someone else might benefit from it too, please share this video. Lastly, but absolutely not least, we welcome you to hit the like button as this helps the videos reach more people, and also join us in the comment section as we would like to hear from you. And if you end up loving us, consider joining our Discord community where the conversation never stops at leadersofafrica.org/live or using the links below this video. This week is a bi-weekly show on Saturdays at 2 p.m. UTC, 3 p.m. West African, 4 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. East African time. So if you are joining us live or after the fact, we chat about current events ranging from pop culture to politics from across the continent. This means literally everything from the serious stuff to the comical ones. My name is Violet, and what do you know? I get to be your host. As you may have noticed lately, we have incorporated quizzes on the show. So feel free to join in at home to test your knowledge of what's happening on our continent. But as for me, my colleagues have been giving me a run for my money with their questions, and today I get to return the favor. So buckle up, folks, and let's get it. Look alive, everyone. How are you doing today?
Very
Doing great. So basically, you
Nice.
came as with a revenge with your quiz, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So how is everyone doing and how has your week been? Gloria.
A great week, busy as usual, but I'm excited. And the year seems to be flying. We almost halfway through March. I'm like, okay, it was just like a few weeks ago. We were in 2020. Now we're almost going into summer 2021.
Indeed, that is absolutely true. So, Eva, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. It's been a good week here. So far, I'm happy.
Nice. So I would like to test you on a question about the continent. I've been waiting to get this one on you. So, which country aims to reach herd immunity by vaccinating 67% of its population by the end of 2021?
Which country?
Yes,
Ghana,
which
of
African
course.
country?
Ghana, of course.
Okay, as a hint, it's in Southern Africa.
South Africa.
Okay, so what's on your mind today?
There's been so much going on, and so much, especially that has to do with Nigeria. I don't know. In the news, since last week and even this week, there have been a report on a number of kidnapping cases that have been going on in the northern part of Nigeria. And it looks like kidnapping, especially of school children in boarding houses, has become like a lucrative business that people and even bandits, especially in the northern part of the country, are engaging in to be able to negotiate with the government to get a lot of money. So we all know about the Chibom girls that were kidnapped in 2014, where the international community, everyone got involved, and Boko Haram finally released them. That was like the largest number of people that has been kidnapped, and that the government was able to get access to most of the children. But in recent years, there have been a lot of kidnapping cases, and this started in December just last year. And these are like bandits. These are not like terrorist group like Boko Haram or other terrorist functions. But these are like random people that come together and form like bandits to kidnap school children like in large amounts to draw attention, media attention, and also to get attention of the government. And then they negotiate with government authorities to get money out of that. So in December last year, a number of 344 students were taken from a government science secondary school in Katsina State. They were eventually released. Then February, just 2 weeks ago, 17, we had 27 students who were also kidnapped from another government science secondary school in Niger State. Then just last week, thereabout on February 26th, nearly 300 students were also kidnapped from government science school in Zamfara State. So this has been going on and is causing a lot of insecurity and instability in the northern part of Nigeria. And they are not just kidnapping like one or two people or travelers to get money out of them, but this time they're kidnapping like a whole bunch of people, especially school children or students in secondary schools and in boarding schools. They just go there, kidnap them, put them on the bus and drive them away. Then when it gets media attention, government or the state government comes in to negotiate with them. So actually in the case that happened in December, the state government came in and negotiated with them, was telling them to release the children. And when they released them, he promised them of houses. He also promised that they will forgive them and also they will help them find jobs that will help them raise money, enough capital to live on. So this negotiating tactics has also raised a lot of eyebrow in terms of why do you negotiate with a kidnapper that have kidnapped over 300 people in your state and also put these children in danger. And at the end of the day, instead of punishing them, you are giving them ransom. So this has been going on and this doesn't seem right. A lot of advocacies and a lot of activists has raised concern about it. And even the president of Nigeria has said that states have to review their policies regarding to negotiating tactics with bandits. Because if they don't do that, they are sending signals that it's okay to kidnap people because at the end of the day, state government will come in and give you money. So it's become a business. So a lot of people, a lot of bandits are getting involved in this. And it's worrisome because if I kidnap 300 people in a school and at the end of the day, I'm rewarded, then I see it that it's good. It's a good business. That is a way for me to make quick money, you know? So it's so wrong. And I'm here to find out from you what you think about this tactics of negotiating with bandits and also kidnappers in northern Nigeria.
Well, I think the scope of the insecurity has been quite high for some time. And I think one place that we can take a look at that a little bit more directly is something called ACLED. They are sort of an organization or collaboration that looks at conflict data around the world and maps it. So when certain incidences happen, they map it. And you can see this is the map of Nigeria. And this is from the beginning of this year. So from the 1st of 2021 to the present. And every little dot there symbolizes a certain event that happened, what we call event data. So you see battles there, violence against civilians, explosion, remote violence, and riots as well. You can see the clustering there in both the northeastern part of Nigeria. You can also see a bit of clustering in the northwestern part, sort of up there as well. So you can see these clusterings of insecurity. And over time, if you look at this, one of the things you realize is that there's been sort of a significant, a high level of events. So these are the number of events across all of those categories in Nigeria. And so the number of events is on the y-axis here, and you can see that it stayed pretty high over time. And in comparison, and I think this is the important point here, in comparison to other neighboring countries in terms of the amount of events and insecurity, this is Ghana's map from ACLED, right? So there are a few different incidences that have happened since January 1st of this year, but it appears like there's only 4 here mapped on the map. So I think the point here is that this concern, Eva, that you raise is in the context of a more broader concern with the security situation in the country, both in the northern part of Nigeria, but also in other pockets as well throughout the country.
Concerning the strategies that Eva spoke about, we need to have to this conversation. One, the Nigerian security personnel, they are overstretched. They are dealing with the issue of secessionists in the southeastern part of the country. Those guys themselves IPOB. They are dealing with other insecurity issues in the southwestern parts. They are also dealing with the issue of insecurity concerning terrorism from Boko Haram and other related groups. So the security personnel, they are already overstretched, without meaning that there is a lacuna that criminals can easily exploit because of the state of insecure of the security folks in the country. And you can see this, especially when you have families that are in the military. For somebody like me, whose father is in the military and who is still strongly connected with the country military, I'm aware of this tiredness on the side of the military. So the criminals are aware of this and they are taking advantages of this. And the government, they've learned from the Boko, the kidnap of the Chibok girls. Because one of the issues with kidnapping is that the longer those kids stay with kidnappers, the more difficult it becomes for you to retrieve them, particularly when you don't have the military and the intelligence capability to track things down. So you want to leverage the shortcut, immediate strategy of retrieving those folks. Until now, we still have some kids that were kidnapped during the time of Jonathan that are yet to be retrieved, because they usually do is that the logistic for keeping a huge number of children being kidnapped is enormous on them. So they have to distribute them across cells. When you distribute across cells, in the process, some might die. In the process, you might even lose touch with one of the cells that are in custody of any of those kids. So, and that is why the government, many a times, they realize that it's important that they step in, negotiate, but they don't tell anybody they are paying money to anybody. But the real fact is that they negotiate so that those kids can be released. It's very pathetic, but in the short term, at least emotionally, it's addressing some issues. Parents are able to get back their children. Nobody wants their children to be missing with the kidnappers forever. So parents would rather prefer that the government is negotiating and having this their case back. However, the flip side is this. This approach is incentivizing criminality, because I know if I kidnap and I negotiate, the government negotiates with me, I get more money. Some other group would like to do the same thing. And you know what? Mm-hmm. They do it from time to time too, because this is the only thing that receives attention in Nigeria. Many times when people travel, kidnappers, not even bandits, they will store vehicles in different parts of the country and kidnap everybody there. Newspapers will only sensationalize the ones that borders on kids. But the other ones, people negotiate from their pockets. So one of the things we need to build in Nigeria to solve this problem, because it can't be the government alone acting. Communities, they must come together. We need to overcome this spirit of division in the country. Because when division reigns, we don't cooperate with the government in solving this problem. So the affected community, they know more about their areas, more than the government, even more than security agency. So there is a need for the government, for the community to hold safe community meetings with the government agencies, either with the elected representative councillors, chairpersons, state governor, wherever they are, we need to start that conversation. How do we secure our neighborhoods? How do we secure our communities? When there are community level actions, put in place strategies to secure communities, there's a likelihood that the tendency, that the level, the magnitude of kidnapping in the country will reduce. The conversation I've been hearing in the country focuses exclusively on the government. But this is a government that has failed everybody. And that is why what we need to do now is not to take laws into our hand. It's not to say, no, we need to start carrying rifles. No, we need to come together as community and complement existing overstretched security arrangement in the country. We need this kind of conversation. Otherwise, we are going to have a republic that is overrun by kidnappers, either in the south, in the west, in the east, and in another part of the country.
So
Ghana, you did
can you
mention
describe
something quite-
for me this photo then? Because it's very intriguing. It's been going around. It's the photo of somebody who has been involved in the kidnapping alongside government officials. So you're talking about this approach of having the government take this security threat seriously and interact with stakeholders, right? So what's going on here? And is this a concern that there is this very close relationship perhaps between some that are engaging in this behavior and some government officials?
I don't want to engage in conspiracy theories, honestly. I've seen a lot of these kind of pictures on the social media, people trying to say that governments are involved. I don't want to subscribe to this kind of thinking because it's not going to help the country at all. Mm-hmm. It's going to set us back. The thing is that the government, they need to do what they do, and they have to go for the kids, negotiate, and advise this guy to let down their guards. The government needs to do this. That's the carrot part of it. Then the stick part of it needs to be on the table as well. The government is doing that. But we've done this for the past 3, 4, 5 years. We've not been getting results. We need new ideas on the table. And that is why communities, they have to be part of this conversation. They have to see how they can complement existing effort by the government to secure the communities. Because the kids that are being kidnapped, they are mostly from that community where the kidnapping takes place, from the communities that the kidnapping takes place. So, and for you to know better to kidnap in a particular community, you must have some insiders information or some understanding of the geography of that particular community. Because imagine, it takes a lot of logistics to kidnap about 200 persons. Even to kidnap about 300, about 20 people, it requires a lot of logistics. It requires a lot of understanding of the nooks and crannies of the particular area that kidnapping is taking place. And that is why one of the conversations we need to do now, we need to have now, and which is not taking place, is the conversation about safe communities in Nigeria. If communities can come together, they can work with the government and have a local vigilante arrangement that will be paid by the communities and by government to help fortify existing security arrangement. But for the most part, people are just pushing all of this responsibility on the government. And we know by and large, this is a failing government. It's a failed government at all levels. It's not just about the federal government. When you go to the local government area, and this is time for us to have this deep conversation about the type of people who want to lead us. If you want to lead as a councillor, you should be able to sell an agenda that tells us how you want to secure your ward, your constituency. Mm-hmm. If you want to lead as a local government chairman, you should be able to sell an agenda to us how you want to secure your constituency. If you want to lead as a state governor, you have to tell us an agenda. And people must be able to scrutinize this. For the most part, when we elect people into offices, we don't have tough questions. We don't ask them, how are you going to secure us? Given this current vulnerability that we are experiencing, what are the things that you are going to do differently? This has never been part of the conversation in the country. And it is high time we took this seriously. And I've proposed this in the past in some several fora that even the schools, the Parent Teachers Association in a different school, they need to come together and propose a safe and secure school initiative. What that means in a particular neighborhood, a particular school in the northern part of the country may not be the same as what it means in other parts of the country. And that is why we need to have this layered conversation, very patriotic conversation that is not about trade game. We know there are weaknesses to the government. Dwelling on the weaknesses is not going to help nobody because everyone is a potential victim. So either you are working with the government, either you are not working with the government, you are rich, you are poor, you are a potential victim. And in fact, majority of those kids that are kidnapped, they are from poor homes. You know, they are from struggling homes. And that is why it's that we all self-assurances come together, have this conversation about what it means to have a localized and nationalized safe school and secure community initiative at various levels in the country.
Yeah.
Ghana, you did mention something. Go ahead, Gloria. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question and I could not agree with you more. Like just throwing this on the government, it's just, there's a lot of stresses, there's a lot of, areas in which the government is already exhausted, as you said. Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious, what would it take to get the communities to come together, as you've said. And you also pointed out that the kids that are being abducted in this community, they're coming from poor communities. And I know that sometimes individuals want to do something, but they feel powerless. And there's an issue of access to resources because putting a security system in a small community would mean that they would need access to resources somehow. What would it take to motivate people who maybe feel discouraged that we don't have what it takes to put a security system in our community?
I mean, that was a very good question. And this is not a new time that communities will be responding to this type of situation. When I was growing up in Nigeria, there were occasions whereby armed robbers will write letters to us that they are coming to visit our neighborhood, and they will come to visit our neighborhood. It was always a free ride for them. So at a point in time, the younger folks, the elderly ones, they came together. They said, okay, we don't need to wait for anybody to write us stupid letters. That we form an arrangement within the community, at community level meetings, add an arrangement. You donate individuals from your household, like maybe 2 boys, 3 girls, they develop a roster, and we'll be securing our neighborhoods. We will be securing our neighborhoods, moving around. We will be doing this. And in fact, when I was even a student union leader at the University of Lagos, there was a time we had the security issues. And what I did, I called my executive. I said, part of our responsibility is to support the university, to secure the university. So it became a mandate on us. We walk in the dead of the night when all students are sleeping, walking around, ensuring that there were no issues of security, somebody coming in to harass our ladies, somebody coming to our hostels to harass our boys. We're moving around. And that initiative came about because these were things that we did when we were in the neighborhood before we got into the university. So I expect that now this is where property owners association, this is where they have to step up and rise up to the responsibility by convening community level meetings. Because there are other meetings that this type of association, neighborhood level association, that they convey. So one of the things I expect them to be deliberating about now is this issue of secured and safe and schools as well. And the other thing is this: government across the country, they have Department of Planning that for the most part are docile. They don't do much for the most part. This is time to get them to work. One of the responsibility of the Department of Planning is to ensure that there is security of lives and property. And there are ways to do this as planner, by working with property owners, by working with community leaders, by working with religious to get things done. And religious leaders, they have a massive role to play in this area. Because for the most part in Nigeria currently, religious leaders, they are agents of divisions. Is either they are calling to religious division, exploiting the security lapses in the country. You don't see any of them promoting effort, bringing together communities within their domain, that we need to come together and fashion out how we can support the government in securing our schools and neighborhood. This is the time for religious leaders to stop the business of making money out of God, out of the poverty condition of people. This is time they can bring people together, regardless of their religious colorations or affiliations, and hold meetings that will not be scandalizing the government, but I will tell people we are the immediate people that are affected by this, and we can come together to solve this problem. And if they want to do this, they don't have to put the religious or ethnic lesson into this, because this is another issue that's affecting us. Because when you see people, they say, no, is this set of the people that are involved in it? Is this set of people that is involved in it? It won't affect people coming to. We need to leave aside our differences, work together and make this possible. And again, I'm stressing the religious leader. This is the time they have to prove to us their usefulness in bringing people together, because they control massive crowd in the country. They control massive crowd. Rather than disseminating the message of hate to their crowd, rather than scandalizing the government as a means of maintaining control over their crowd, this is the time they can divert their energy in a positive direction. By bringing communities together, they have the resources, either financial, they even have the clout to bring people together. And they have the words of wisdom that they can use in facilitating some of these meetings. Hopefully, they will go in this direction.
Okay.
Wow.
Something that
Please go on, Eva.
we also have to remember that there is a lot of we have to address the root causes of this kidnapping thing. What is causing many young people to go into kidnapping as a lucrative business? We have to understand that unemployment contributes to this. You have Nigeria, a country of over 180 million people. Majority of the people are young people. They finish school and they can't find jobs to do. What do you expect them to do? So kidnapping has become a business because that they know that that is a quick way to make money. And when they do it, they kidnap all these people. Governments will at least, for once, pay attention to them, pay them some money, and they are well off. So we also, in as much as we are talking about community policing, community security efforts, we also have to talk about the unemployment situation affecting most of the young people in Nigeria today. You know, we don't have to throw that out of the conversation because that is the root causes of many of the insecurity taking place in the northern part of Nigeria.
Yeah, and it's not just sort of unemployment, but I think the underlying conditions that you are mentioning, Gloria, is the inequality that's present in the North, right? This is lucrative because there are people that are willing to pay that actually have that money to pay, either from government coffers, perhaps, or from private coffers, right? So there's a lot of concern with inequality here, and I think one of all of these steps that you've mentioned, Ghana, are really good. This sort of community engagement, but that resentment that will continue in other ways, maybe not in the ways that they're being expressed now, if the issues of inequality are not dealt with. And what does that mean? That means the wealthy have to redistribute to people who are poor, in particularly in the North, where those disparities are so glaring, but also elsewhere in the country as well. So I think that's a key thing. So to get the security that they want in the North, they have to give up something, and that's a bit of their wealth.
But interestingly, where the kidnapping actually became a business, those guys are no longer really into kidnapping per se. It's in the southeastern part of the country, the southern part of the country. You know, kidnapping as a form of business in Nigeria didn't start with the people. It actually started with oil workers who are working for slum beggars, for mobile, just name them. So what they used to do then, they would tell guys in the Niger Delta, and then when you kidnap us, the companies will pay you money. Then they used to share it based on a formula. So the local folks now realized, oh, you don't need to tell me to kidnap you before I kidnap you. So they took on the initiative and they started kidnapping. At a point in time, they started using it as a tool of advocacy, you know, for supporting their call towards resource control in that part of the country. You know, so but now kidnapping in the southern part of the country and in the southeastern part of the country has reduced significantly compared to now what you have in the north. It's not just about unemployment, because there was a time I was writing an academic paper on this issue. Sometimes it has to do with the fallout of community level crisis or crisis in the market. There was a particular case in Zamfara whereby there was a crisis between, you know, some people that were selling cattle and some people that were into some other form of trading activity. The crisis culminated into a big disagreement. So the other group relocated back into the forest. They started with cattle rustling. From there, they graduated into kidnapping. So you have different drivers of the problem that we need to address. And that is why a national level response to this crisis may never be that effective in the long and medium term. Short time, yes. But that is why the governors, the local government chairman, the councillors, the religious leader, the traditional rulers, they have to come together, understand the particular drivers of kidnapping in their areas, and work together to solve those problems.
Ghana, I need to cut you off, but we do need to move on. I'm sorry about that, but we can always continue the conversation on Discord. And I would like to get to you, Gloria, and I do have a little quiz question for you. So this West African country recently held a presidential election whose results were contested by the candidate that lost the election. However, the verdict by the Supreme Court of Justice on Thursday, March 4th, 2021, upheld the president-elect's win. Which country is that?
That is Ghana.
Oh, you got me.
Absolutely. And on that
Ghana
note, what's been on your mind?
Thank you for making my quiz so easy, because it just happened that the story on my mind concerns the country that we just talked about. So we're moving from one crisis to another, but for this one, there are new developments in the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic crisis, and the new development in Ghana is the vaccine. So the past week, Ghana became the first country in the entire world to receive the first dose of vaccine that was distributed by the COVAX program. Just to touch a little bit on the COVAX program, it's a global scheme that is there to procure vaccines from various vaccine manufacturers and redistribute that vaccine to different countries in the world that need them. And so they've been working, as we know, different countries were producing vaccine, and now COVAX was able to acquire doses of vaccines that they distributed to Ghana. And the president of Ghana became the very first person to receive the vaccine. There he is in the picture. Yes, being vaccinated. And it was important for him as a leader to do this. He said it in his own words that he wanted it to be done on TV to set an example for his people, that they may know that the vaccine is safe and that everybody who wants a vaccine can get one. And so that's what we have. After Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire also received the vaccine in the same week. A few days later, the Secretary General of Cote d'Ivoire, Mr. Patrick Achi, was also one of those that got the vaccines first in last week when they received their doses. And so we're seeing this program starting to slowly unfold in different parts of Africa. And Uganda also is, I hear that is next on the line to receive the vaccine. So I want to mention that there are different vaccines that will be distributed depending on availability. For instance, the vaccine in Ghana is the one produced by the Oxford AstraZeneca lab. And Uganda will be receiving some doses of vaccine from Pfizer. For instance, in South Africa, there's Johnson & Johnson vaccine that is also being distributed there, just to give an idea of the variety of vaccines that are going around.
And on a personal note, on a very personal note as well, before we talk about the framework, I also received my first shot of the vaccine. This was the Moderna vaccine, which is one that is produced in the US. So let me show a little bit of that. That's me getting the vaccine there. Courtesy of Eva. And if you want to see, I guess the live shot of it, this is my version of getting the vaccine on TV. I'll say that it was a really easy process to get it, and it seems very effective. Things have been working out pretty well. And it was a good experience. And the reason why I was able to get the vaccine perhaps at the early stages is because obviously many of us here on the show were involved in the education sector. Ouch. And one of the things that, oh, there we go. there you see it. And one of the things that they're trying to do is make sure that teachers and those people who are in front of students are able to effectively get back to business. Because, one of the things that we've noticed from this pandemic, and we've been talking about this a lot on Leaders of Africa, is that the pandemic has really hurt schools and higher education. So the point of rolling out the vaccines in some places for what they call essential workers or those people who have to be close to people is one of the priorities that is there. And one of the interesting things, perhaps in African countries that we're seeing in terms of the priorities is a lot of politicians getting the vaccine first. And so, as you mentioned, Gloria, you saw the president of Ghana getting the vaccine, and then you see some other government officials who are also getting the vaccine. And then people are wondering, is this fair? Is it being distributed equitably? And others saying, well, a lot of the people that we know who have perished from the coronavirus have been the so-called the big men. But obviously that may be only because we have like a record of those people having the symptoms of COVID-19 and passing away. Obviously, others have also contracted the virus as well. So I think it presents an issue, not only, as you mentioned, Gloria, about which countries get the vaccine, but then when the vaccine is distributed to the country, who gets it first, who gets it second, how is it cascaded throughout society, particularly when you're not dealing with extremely large batches. How much was the batch to Ghana, Eva? How many vaccines did they receive?
About
I think about 600,000.
Yeah, 600,000.
So about 600,000. So that's very much still a very scarce good, even though it does start to move the needle, so to speak. So move the needle, I guess that was a pun, not by intention. So, I guess I have needles on my mind. But I think that's a big question is, as the program rolls out, who is getting the vaccine and who isn't, and then also dealing with who does not want to get the vaccine, right? So you have those who want it, and we want to talk about whether they're getting it, and then there's those who are still sort of skeptical of the vaccine. Obviously, I'm not one of those. You can see me taking the vaccine there.
There was, I want to say something. There was concern about the vaccine. As you said, there are a number of people that have raised issues and doubt about the vaccine. So when the vaccine came, especially in Ghana, people were saying that the politicians should take it. And if they don't die, then the people will go for it.
Sounds like
so that has been the case. That has been the reason why you saw the president going for it and other politicians also going for it, and religious leaders actually have also been given the vaccine to raise people's confidence and so and the awareness that the vaccine is safe. But after, you have to give it to a few number of politicians. You don't have to give it to like all of them. You get it?
Yeah.
Right? So just a few number of them for people to know that it is safe. The president and the vice president have gotten it. The first ladies have gotten it. These religious people have gotten it. This section of parliamentarians have gotten it. Then from there, move to the people that really need it. The frontliners, teachers, older people. You get it? So that it doesn't become like just politicians are receiving it, because most of the distribution are very in a small quantity. You get it immediately. For instance, Ghana has a population of 300 million people. It's 600. So imagine, give it to those who need it first. Yes, the politicians should receive it for them to raise people's confidence in the vaccine, but you don't have to just keep it at that stage where you are giving it to politicians and their friends. You have to move on to distribute it equally so that everybody will benefit from it.
Yeah, just a quick one on the doses that were received. The 600,000 were from the COVAX distribution. However, Ghana and other countries actually also in Africa, they are acquiring other doses of vaccines from different countries. There's the vaccine that have been produced in India and also the one that was produced in China. So some of the countries have already approved different other vaccines that they're using in addition to what COVAX is now distributing.
Yeah, and I think one other thing they may need to add to the equation is this, because the level of distrust in the vaccine in Africa is on the high side. We need to bring traditional rulers and we need to bring community leaders into this, because these are the people that can get to the granular level of the society, talk to their people, build trust and confidence in the vaccine. And this is coming against a backdrop. We knew what happened with the polio vaccine in some part of Africa. the politics that was involved and how that triggered some distrust in the polio vaccine. We had that experience in Nigeria, particularly in the northern part of the Nigeria. So people are afraid of being a pig in pea for whatever they consider a hidden agenda. And, this is why it's very important that by and large, we need to build trust. And one of the ways we can build trust is by making sure that some of the faces of the community, people that people look up to make some very important decisions, they are the people that take the vaccine. In that way, they can neutralize, because when the government says, people may not believe in the government. One of the articles that myself and Dr. Nokwajo wrote when COVID-19 first broke out was because many people did not believe in the government that there was actually COVID-19. They thought it was on hoax. So, and when we did our data analysis, we found that one of the reasons why they didn't believe in what the government was saying was because of their distrust in government. Yeah. Even if the president of the country takes it, you still see some people that will say, "How are you sure that there was a vaccine in that syringe?" Some people might still say that. We will still raise out that it was state managed. Did you see it? Did you see the liquid? You didn't see the liquid. There will still be some doubt in the minds of doubting Thomases. And that is why we need to get that to the level of the community where people will see it. It's being taken out, injected into, and when the king or the community leaders are taking it, it shouldn't just be about them. They should have some people too from the neighborhood that are queuing behind them, so that the day the king is taking his or us, then other people in the community will be taking it. And if there are some minor issues, hopefully that won't discourage people, because vaccines will react to different people's body differently. The last time I took my flu vaccine, in the last 6 years, I've never taken a flu vaccine. I had a problem with my rantan for about 2 weeks or thereabouts. And at the end of the day, I was okay. There will always be some minor issues, but we need to really build that confidence. So I would say it's a good start, to start with the politician, but we need to go to the level of other people that matters in the community, so that those that need to take the vaccine, they're able to take the vaccine, and we increase the level.
So Ghana, I think that's your theme for today. It's all about the local. Everything on the local level. Let's start at the local level, close to the people. No, I think you're right, Ghana, and I think this is a broader point. And I think this goes for most countries around the world, that trust in government, since government is the one that is supposed to have the oversight over the procurement of the vaccine, the safety procedures, is very much related to people's reticence or or lack of reticence or willingness, I should say, to take the vaccine. And so those contexts where that there is that lack of trust, this is going to be a big concern. And I think your idea of bringing it to the local level is an important one. But I want to also reflect on something else that may be something to look at, which is a lot of people are also watching Western countries getting vaccinated, and people in Western countries getting vaccinated itself. So one of the things I'm curious as to is whether people begin to see this as even a sign of privilege that you get a vaccine, right? So when people start to see this as sort of a status symbol, right? So now that I'm so vaccinated, once you finish your course of vaccinated, I can travel. I don't have to worry about some of the precautions, right? Even though one should be certainly now taking precautions, right? We're certainly not out of the pandemic, but and these vaccines are don't make you 100% immune. In some cases, lower the symptoms you may get. But people may see this as a sign of privilege, right? And I'm curious whether that starts to motivate people to get the vaccine, because they say, well, they have the vaccine, they're getting vaccinated, 50%, 60%, 70% of their population has access to it. So I want it too. Right. So I'm curious whether that mechanism will compel people to want to get vaccinated as well. And whether that also shapes, as we've been talking about, the politicians saying, I want to be vaccinated first. I want to have that same sort of privilege to be one of the clubs that receive the Pfizer, Moderna, or AstraZeneca, J&J vaccine. So I'm curious whether that actually has an influence on people's interest in getting vaccinated.
I think that goes back to the issue you spoke about, building trust, because like Ghana mentioned that there's some sections of the population who are like, are you really sure there was a vaccine in that syringe? Are you sure? These same issues are happening even in Uganda. And it's even hilarious because you hear people say, oh, the vaccines that the politicians will get are different from the ones that will be given to us. So there's still that element of mistrust. So I find that if people are able to believe that the vaccines that people in the Western countries are getting are the same vaccines that they are getting, then perhaps we'll be able to like have more traction. Although I also think that because Africa is quite religious, I think that if we can get more religious leaders on board to talk to members of their congregations, we'll be able to have a portion of the population vaccinated, because at least in my experience, people believe very much in their pastors, in their religious leaders. So if we can get them to talk to their flock, then I'm quite sure that we'll have more people getting vaccinated than if it's just politicians, because people inherently have a mistrust of politicians on the continent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another thing to say on the vaccine is that on the one side, you have people who are skeptical about the vaccine. And then on the other side, you have people who are eager. They can't wait to get the vaccine and they want to get their hand on the vaccine as soon as possible. And so there are criminals who are taking advantage of that. There was a story in South Africa and in China. The criminal network of fake vaccine is growing. People are making money out of it because now that vaccines are being distributed, to a large extent, vaccines have proven to be safe. So more people are becoming interested. So criminals are using this opportunity to create fake vaccines and make money out of it. So people have to be very careful in terms of where you go to get that vaccine. It has to come from qualified medical professionals, a clinic where you have double check and make sure that this is a legitimate source. Otherwise, you might find people end up dying, injecting things that are not even the vaccine.
Yeah, that's a really important warning.
Yeah, one of the things that
please go on, Ghana.
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that can actually drive this, because I was reading about this yesterday, in Nigeria, when one of the ministers said the people that have taken the vaccine, they'll be issued a certificate, and it will serve as a clearance for them to fly. And I said, wow, there may be, what if not thought, they call it unintended consequences. But I don't use the word unintended consequences, because what people call unintended consequences to me is like failure to think adequately about the policy options that government are following. And when you look at it from a perspective, COVID-19, when it came about in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, at a point in time, people were required to carry the certificate that they have done their test before they can actually fly. So what people figured out was that, the system that was responsible for conducting the test wasn't that effective at the point in time in Nigeria. They might take your samples and it might take them like a month. You won't hear anything. And people really want to fly. So we have this fake industry that issues fake COVID-19 test certificate. So people will just go there and buy one. So when you attach a certificate that before you can fly, you need to get a COVID-19 vaccine certificate. If the government is not effective or is billing people outrageously to get a certificate, there's a likelihood that people will start, patronizing the fake COVID-19 certificate industry. So I'm worried that some of the policy direction that the government is looking at to make sure that people take this vaccine before they can enjoy certain things or the other may come out to hurt the vaccination process itself. I rather will encourage the process of building trust in the vaccine and encouraging everybody. Not everybody will take this vaccine, whether I would like it or not. Even in several parts of the world, I've been following the news, some people will still not take this vaccine because some people believe at a point in time we are going to get a herd immunity. How that is going to play out, I don't know. But I would say that the government should continue to ensure that they build trust using several mechanisms of building trust and not necessarily go in the direction that before you can fly, you need to produce your COVID-19 certification certificate. I'm afraid that this might lead to incentivizing the fake COVID-19 certificate industry.
Those are indeed very
Okay,
interesting points you raised there, Ghana. And while you're at it, I do have a question to ask you before I move on to Peter. So
That's what you get, Ghana. We've given you quite the platform today. So this is your big question. We've been building up for this moment.
I need to reward him. So Ghana, this man lived a life on the fast lane. He lived his life on the fast lane, flamboyantly and unapologetically, and he died in a fatal accident on November 8th, 2020. He left behind a fleet of top-of-the-range vehicles and a multi-million-dollar mansion in an unsigned will, which is now being hotly contested. Who is this man?
I don't like to follow wealthy people. I'm a man of the
Oh, he was not your ordinary wealthy person. He was very loud.
I
And
think
we've
that would
spoken
be
about him on the show as a hint. We've spoken about him before on the show.
Some time ago, I think,
As a hint, yeah,
if I'm right.
He's the only
Can I help my friend Ghana out here?
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Since you're not vaccinated, go ahead.
I'll help you out on this one, Ghana. So I think this was, Janimbi, right? The socialite
Absolutely.
from Zimbabwe, but was living in South Africa that we talked about that died in that car crash some months ago now, right? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's him.
Yes, that is correct.
Can that substitute as my question answer? I'd like that to be my my question now.
Oh no, I did have a question for you today, but I do have one for you. What's been on your mind this?
Well, what's been on my mind, and I want to go in a slightly different direction than watching videos of me getting vaccinated or talking about COVAX. I want to talk about sort of tech entrepreneurship, and I think that's something that we at Leaders of Africa have been highlighting over the past several months. Is this big emphasis on tech as being supportive of development priorities, as also being supportive of people's livelihoods, and also in this case today being supportive of what we call the gig economy, right? And many times we talk about your side hustle or a hustle that you're engaged in, right? And that concept of the hustle is not just germane to African countries, but everywhere you have this concept of like doing your gig, like a side project or, freelancing, right? And we've got this really cool new opportunity or new sort of platform that is burgeoning here, and hopefully it can come up on your screen here. And let me pull that up. Yeah, so here we go. So this is Afri Blocks. Afri Blocks is one of these platforms or one of these tech startups. And Afri Blocks was founded by Tongai Choto and Roger Roman from Zimbabwe. They have offices in both Harare and Los Angeles. And one of their purposes of creating this platform is to do things that we see in other platforms. So some of you may have heard of Fiverr, for example, where you go to this platform, you find independent designers, those who are doing gigs or doing that side hustle in design, and then you contract out to them to do some of the work for them, right? So this one is that sort of Fiverr concept. You also see, you work and all these different other platforms that are out there. So it's sort of that type of platform, but this one focuses on indie African designers and creative types, right? Ones that do work in, for example, UX. So designing user interfaces, designing websites, graphic design, things of this nature. So what you do is you register on the website as a creator, and then as somebody who wants to get work done, you're able to go on the website and search around through different profiles, and then contract out individually with that person to do the work for you. So it allows people to freelance and get a larger market, a larger audience for their work. And one of the other cool things about this is that the creators in this case took advantage of the Techstar program. And Techstar program, and hopefully we can put that up here. So Techstar program is what we call an accelerator. So a lot of startups go to accelerators that sometimes provide a little bit of cash, a little bit of support for new ideas, and they help what they call incubate the idea. So they're also named as accelerators or incubators, right? They help you build up that idea, network with people that will make that idea come to fruition, perhaps get some capacity to do some of the technical pieces that you need to do to bring a product to market. And so the two founders of this platform came through this Techstar program. So if anyone's listening to us today really and has a great idea, tech-related idea, we really strongly suggest looking at Techstar as one possibility for getting some funding and also getting some support for your project. So it's quite amazing, a platform. It seems very polished. It's currently in the process of building up right now, but I think it's something that reflects this support for this gig economy or this side hustle or this technological side hustle that's coming up.
I liked it.
Yeah,
Brilliant idea. As you said, Peter, the gig economy for many Africans, I mean, that side hustle, what we're calling side hustle, is actually the way, of getting, that's a primary income.
Yeah.
And so it's very important to give people these kind of tools. And what I like about Afri Blocks, they're doing even more training on the grounds. They're planning on giving the freelancers tools, just give them training on how to present themselves and how to acquire the skills to succeed in this space. And the other cool thing I like from the technology side of this website is when there's a business, there's a gig that gets published on the website. Sometimes, if you need a job to get, if a company wants a job to get done, you have to run through different profiles, look at many freelancers. But what this platform does, once the job gets published, they would use their algorithms to select 3 freelancers who perfectly match the job. And then the person who wants the job to get done will select from a small pool of freelancers as opposed to navigating like 1,000 profiles.
Absolutely.
I feel like this is free advertisement. This is free advertisement for the company.
We're doing a little bit. As you saw, I was sending them we were sending them a message that you're here live with us today.
That's part of what we do at the Leaders of Africa is to project and create opportunity. It's a good one as far as I'm concerned. But I'm just curious to know. Because like I mentioned, I'm a man for the poor people. One of the things I'm curious to know is that how do we begin to get some of this opportunity to our students in our universities who are struggling to pay for their school fees? Because I could imagine this serving as one of the ways that people can actually fund their education without having to struggle through a lot of distractions. Because a good number of folks in the universities, tertiary institutions, across different universities and polytechnic in Africa, it might be one of the ways that they can overcome the distraction that poverty imposes of them in the course of securing a university or higher level education. So if they can actually make an inroad into our universities, our campuses, I do believe that they will be going a long way to supporting, the education, the access to quality education, and a financially distressed education in our university. So I will encourage them to look in this direction.
Absolutely.
That's a very good point that you raised, Ghana, because, these are the freelancers of the future. So we might as well get them while they're still on campuses. And they do need the support. Yeah, because many universities, very many university students do have great ideas, but they do lack the support. So that would be absolutely wonderful.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Peter, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. And for our viewers who are at home, and for those of you who will be joining us later on, we thank you so much for spending your time with us. These have been stories that, of course, some were really very heavy, Others are quite light, but I hope you do appreciate the range, because there's absolutely so much that's going on the continent that needs to be talked about. And we do talk about all these things in our community, because while we may be on the show for just an hour, typically these conversations do keep going on our Discord. So it is a great idea if you choose to join us. However, thank you so much for spending today with us. We hope you not only enjoyed the show, but also learned something from it as well. We hope you come back in 2 weeks' time for yet another episode of This Week. If you have not yet subscribed to Leaders of Africa, head over to leadersofafrica.org/ or hit that red subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. Also, consider joining our Discord community for more interaction, conversation, and resources that you might otherwise not have access to on YouTube alone. As always, it has been an immense pleasure, and until next time, bye for now.